Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. The night in Genoa City had a strange heaviness, the kind that pressed against the windows and made every breath feel heavier than usual, and Victoria Newman stood in the dimly lit Newman Enterprises office with her arms crossed, her jaw tight, and her eyes fixed on Audra Charles as if she could burn a hole through her with nothing but sheer willpower. It had taken months of suspicion, late-night conversations with Victor, and a handful of hushed warnings from Nick, but now the truth had unraveled like a badly stitched seam, and Victoria could no longer contain the storm that was boiling inside of her. "Get out of here now," she spat, her voice breaking the suffocating silence, each word slicing like glass, and Audra's expression faltered for the first time in weeks. For so long, she had held herself with an unshakable confidence, strutting through the Newman Tower with her charm and cunning, making herself appear indispensable to both the business and to certain men in Victoria's orbit, but the facade was crumbling under the weight of Victoria's rage. The revelation had not come easy. It had been buried under layers of deception, whispers from obscure contacts, and even planted documents that pointed in several directions at once, but Victoria had been relentless, refusing to let another woman play games with her family's empire, and now the truth was out, and it was uglier than anyone could have imagined. Audra, with her sleek hair falling like a dark veil over her shoulder, took one careful step back, her eyes narrowing as if calculating whether to fight back or cut her losses and leave. "Victoria," she began, her voice calm, honeyed, but there was a tremor hidden beneath it that she couldn't quite suppress. "I think you're making a mistake. You don't understand what you're doing." But Victoria only laughed, sharp and humorless, shaking her head as though she had been waiting months to hear that same tired line. "Don't you dare try to manipulate me again," she snapped, her tone edged with years of Newman steel, the kind that had once come from Victor himself. "I know who you are. I know exactly what you've been hiding, and I will not let you use my family, my company, or my father for whatever sick agenda you've been running." The office lights cast long shadows across the walls, and for a moment it felt like the room itself was leaning in, listening to every word, waiting for the explosion that was about to shatter everything. Nick had warned her earlier in the day, his voice heavy with concern as they stood outside Crimson Lights, away from prying ears. He had told her that there were whispers, that Audra's connections weren't as clean as she wanted everyone to believe, that behind the glamour and her sharp business instincts there was someone else entirely, someone tied to power brokers far beyond Genoa City, someone with loyalties that had nothing to do with Newman Enterprises. Victoria hadn't wanted to believe it at first. Part of her wanted to respect Audra's intelligence, even admire her drive, but every puzzle piece Nick brought to her, every trail Victor's investigators followed, every discreet file slipped under her door painted a picture that could not be ignored. Audra wasn't just another ambitious executive clawing her way to the top. She was an operative, a plant, someone whose real name wasn't even Audra Charles. Now, face to face in the office that had witnessed countless battles before, Victoria felt a rush of vindication mingled with fury. "How long were you planning to keep it from us?" she demanded, her voice low but seething, like a volcano preparing to erupt. "How long were you going to keep playing your little game, pretending you cared about this company, about Nate, about anyone here, when the truth is you were only ever here to bring us down from the inside?" Audra opened her mouth to speak, but Victoria cut her off before she could form a defense. "Don't. I've seen the proof. I've spoken to people who know exactly who you are. And you're not Audra Charles. That's not even your real name, is it?" Audra froze, the mask slipping just enough for Victoria to see the flicker of fear behind her eyes. It was a look Victoria had seen before in others who had underestimated her, men who thought she was just another spoiled Newman daughter, women who thought they could outmaneuver her in the boardroom, but none had worn it quite like Audra. "You don't know what you're talking about," Audra finally managed, though her voice was tighter now, more defensive, as though she knew the walls were closing in. "You've been fed lies, Victoria. You've let your father poison your mind because he's always been afraid of women who don't bow to him. But I'm not your enemy. I've only ever wanted what's best for this company, just like you. But the words sounded hollow, and Victoria took a step closer, her heels clicking against the marble floor like the sound of judgment itself. Save it, she hissed, her eyes never leaving Audra's face. You think I don't know that you've been working with people outside Genoa City? That you've been feeding information to rivals, undermining deals, setting us up for failure while pretending to be the savior of Newman Media? You've been lying to all of us, and now everyone will know. You're finished. The sharpness in her tone made Audra flinch, but she quickly covered it with a tilt of her chin, forcing a smirk that didn't quite reach her eyes. I think you're overestimating your position here, Victoria, Audra countered, though her voice lacked its usual sting. You may think you've uncovered something, but without proof, it's just your word against mine. And who's really going to believe you? The board? Nate? Your father? Victor has never trusted you completely, and you know it. He'll see this as paranoia, as another one of your crusades to prove yourself. It was a desperate attempt to regain control, to plant seeds of doubt, but Victoria wasn't biting. She leaned in closer, lowering her voice to a dangerous whisper. I don't need their belief. I just need you to understand one thing. Your time here is over. So get out. Get out of here now, before I make sure you leave in a way you can never recover from. The silence that followed was electric, the kind that hummed in the air and made the skin prickle. Audra's lips parted, but no words came out this time, and in that pause, Victoria saw the truth shining clearer than ever. Audra had been exposed, stripped of the power she had carefully cultivated, and though she might still fight, she had already lost the most important battle, the battle of perception. The Newmans had seen through her, and once that happened, there was no going back. The quiet hum of the Newman estate, a constant backdrop to so many calculated schemes and whispered threats, is shattered by a sentence that carries the weight of a detonation. Get out of here now. The words are not screamed, but delivered with a chilling, controlled precision by Victoria Newman, a woman whose entire life has been a masterclass in wielding power from a position of icy composure. This command, issued to Audra Charles, is far more than a simple dismissal, it is the culmination of a meticulously constructed facade crumbling into dust. It is the moment a weaponized secret, long buried and fiercely protected, is finally unleashed, irrevocably altering the landscape of Genoa City's power dynamics and personal relationships. The revelation of Audra's true identity, as orchestrated by Victoria, is not merely a plot point but a profound exploration of the nature of identity itself, the corrosive power of secrets, and the relentless pursuit of control in a world where information is the ultimate currency. To understand the seismic impact of this revelation, one must first appreciate the intricate personas involved. Victoria Newman, heiress to a vast corporate and personal legacy, has evolved from a sometimes vulnerable young woman into a formidable matriarch in her own right. Her power derives not just from her name but from her intelligence, her strategic mind, and a deeply ingrained belief in the natural order of the Newman dynasty. She is the guardian of the gate, the arbiter of who belongs within the hallowed halls of corporate and familial power. Her opponent, or rather her target in this instance, is Audra Charles, a figure who carved her way into the upper echelons of Genoa City society with sharp elbows, sharper wit, and a seemingly unshakable confidence. Audra presented herself as a self-made corporate climber, a force of nature whose ambition was her only credential. This self-fashioned identity was her armor and her weapon, allowing her to navigate the treacherous waters of Newman Media and Lockford Industries with a calculated ruthlessness that earned her both respect and fear. The phrase "get out of here now" lands with such force because it is the absolute negation of that carefully constructed identity. It is not an argument against her strategies or a criticism of her performance, it is a fundamental erasure of her right to be present. Victoria's words imply a deeper knowledge, a hidden truth that invalidates Audra's entire claim to her position, her relationships, and her status. The revelation, as spoilers suggest, likely peels back the layers of the Audra Charles persona to expose a past she has desperately tried to escape. Perhaps she is not the self-made woman she claims to be but someone from a troubled or scandalous background. Perhaps her real name is tied to a family that is an enemy of the Newmans, or maybe her entire career has been built upon a foundational lie, forged credentials, a hidden criminal record, or a stolen identity. The specific nature of the truth is almost secondary to its function. It is the ultimate tool of delegitimization. In the world of the young and the restless, a world built upon decades of hidden paternities, secret affairs, and resurrected corpses, a true identity is the most valuable and vulnerable possession a character has. A character's name, their history, is the bedrock of their alliances and their enmities. To attack that is to launch a nuclear strike against their very being. Victoria's action is the ultimate expression of this phenomenon. By revealing Audra's true identity, she is not just firing an employee, she is excommunicating a heretic from the Church of High Society and corporate power. She is publicly declaring that Audra was never one of them, that her presence was a contamination based on a false premise. This act lays bare the brutal social Darwinism that underpins Genoa City. Membership in its elite circles is conditional, perpetually contingent on the maintenance of an acceptable narrative about one's past. One misstep, one exposed secret, and the gates slam shut, with a Newman often serving as the gatekeeper. The methodology of the revelation is also quintessentially Victorian. It is not a heated, public outburst but a calculated, private execution. She corners Audra, likely in a sleek, impersonal office setting, a throne room of corporate power, and delivers the verdict with cool finality. This choice of setting and tone is crucial. It underscores that this is not a personal, emotional feud but a strategic, corporate takedown. Victoria is acting as the head of an empire, purging a corrupting element. The lack of hysterics makes the moment even more powerful and terrifying. It is power exercised with calm, bureaucratic ruthlessness. It demonstrates that Victoria has moved beyond the impulsive passions of her youth and now wields her knowledge with the chilling efficiency of a seasoned CEO. She has the information, she has judged its implications, and she has issued the sentence. The process is complete. For Audra, the impact is apocalyptic. Her entire life's work, the persona she has painstakingly built to overcome a past she is ashamed of or to achieve goals she could not reach as her authentic self, is instantly vaporized. The confidence that was her trademark is revealed to have been a spectacular act of bluffing, and the bluff has been called in the most devastating way possible. The command to leave is not just about exiting a physical space but about being expelled from the reality she created for herself. She is thrust back into the identity she sought to escape, now exposed under the harsh, public spotlight of Genoa City's rumor mill. The psychological toll is unimaginable, transforming her from a predator of the corporate jungle into prey, hunted by her own past. Her power, which was always predicated on perception and influence, evaporates because her credibility is annihilated. Who will trust a woman whose very name is a lie? Who will align with a person whose foundation has been proven to be rotten? Furthermore, the repercussions ripple out far beyond the immediate confrontation between these two women. Victoria's actions send a shockwave through the entire community. For allies of Audra, such as Tucker McCall, her exposure represents a significant strategic setback. Tucker, a master manipulator himself, valued Audra for her skills and her ruthless ambition. Her downfall weakens his position, potentially destabilizing his own plans and power plays. It forces him to recalculate, to distance himself from the liability she has become, demonstrating how quickly alliances shift when scandal hits. For others, like Kyle Abbott or even Nick Newman, who have worked with and sometimes clashed with Audra, the revelation forces a reevaluation of every interaction, every deal, every conversation. Was any of it real? Was she playing a longer game tied to her hidden past? The seeds of paranoia are sown abundantly, as everyone wonders who else among them might be harboring a devastating secret. The event also serves to redefine Victoria's character in a significant way. It cements her status as the dominant female force within the Newman Empire, a position once held unquestionably by her mother, Nikki. Victoria demonstrates that she has learned the family's most crucial lesson: to protect what is yours, you must be willing to destroy any threat, utterly and without remorse. She is no longer just competing in the business world, she is policing its membership, ensuring the right kind of people, those with the correct kind of past, or at least those clever enough to keep their incorrect pasts hidden, are in positions of influence. This move is a stark declaration that the Newmans are not just a family but an institution, and Victoria is its chief enforcer. It also raises ethical questions about her right to wield this power. Does possessing a damaging truth give one the moral authority to destroy another person? In the moral gray area of Genoa City, the answer is a resounding yes, provided it serves one's own interests and protects one's domain. Ultimately, the moment Victoria Newman points her finger and orders Audra Charles to get out of here now, she is doing more than just revealing a spoiler. She is enacting a timeless dramatic ritual, the unmasking. This scene resonates because it taps into universal anxieties about authenticity, imposter syndrome, and the fear of being truly known. Everyone, to some extent, curates their identity, presenting a polished version of themselves to the world. The terror that the unvarnished truth could be exposed and used against us is a powerful primal fear. The Young and the Restless magnifies this fear to operatic proportions. Audra's sin was not necessarily her past, but her attempt to transcend it without the approval of the established aristocracy. Her punishment is a brutal reminder of the old money ethos that still governs this world: you can never truly escape where you come from, and those in power will always hold your origin story as the ultimate leverage. In the aftermath, Genoa City will continue to turn. New alliances will form, new secrets will be born, and new scandals will erupt. But the foundational understanding of power has been reaffirmed. Knowledge is not just power, it is the power to define, to include, and to exile. Victoria's chillingly delivered sentence is a benchmark moment, a testament to the fact that in the endless war for control, the most devastating weapon is not a blackmail photo or a stolen company, but a name, a true name, spoken aloud at the most damaging moment, stripping away every illusion and leaving only the stark, unforgiving truth in its wake. The echo of that dismissal, "Get out of here now," will linger long after Audra has left the room, a haunting testament to the fact that in the relentless pursuit of power, the most dangerous thing one can be is oneself, if that self is a secret waiting to be told.